everyone. I'm Adam Brown, and this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, January 22nd. On today's show, Herb Sklar will be back to talk about photographing people. And we'll learn about the Finding Joy support group. But first, we want to remind you that this Saturday there will be an outing to Centennial Park for the Caloosahatchee Celtic Festival. This annual event is chock full of lively Celtic music and dance, with vendors from all over displaying Celtic-style wares. And of course, there will be plenty of food available. Seating is not provided, so it is recommended that you bring a lawn chair light enough to carry about 100 yards, or a blanket if you wish to sit. The cost is $18 with food on your own. The bus will start pickups on the island at 11:15 a.m., and approximate return time will be 3 p.m. Spending time at a festival is a prime opportunity for that age-old pastime, people watching. Many folks enjoy elevating that hobby to photographing people. Herb Sklar has a great deal of experience in this particular activity, and he wants to share it with you, so you too can get shots that are outstanding. It just so happens that he has an academy class coming up on this subject, and he's here to tell you all about it.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve, and we're talking about a new class in the new photo studio, and it is called How to Photograph People. Thank you for joining me, Herb.
Oh, you're welcome.
How to photograph people outdoors and indoors. First of all, we want to photograph people, but is it different outdoors and indoors?
Yes, you could run into a lot of different problems. Let's take the outdoors. You can have a rainy day. You can have a cloudy day. You can have a sunny day, and you say, oh, sunny day is great. No, it's not. Actually, the best day you can have is a cloudy day.
Are we going to plan that?
No. I don't think we can arrange a cloudy day, but I hope it's not, because I would like to show you different techniques, what to do if the sun is out very intense, what to do if it's very cloudy, and there are different things that you can do, and we will go through that and using simple techniques and simple props, and once you get that down, then we go indoors, and we will then show you how to photograph people indoors. A lot of people have taken pictures indoors and pop their flash on top of the camera, and the next thing you know, it's harsh light and big shadow behind them.
Red eyes.
Red eyes, yeah. So we're going to cover one day outdoors, one day in the photo studio, how to handle both lighting situations.
This is wonderful. And again, a small class, because you're going to all work together and go outside together and then come into the photo studio together.
Right. The first week, I think we meet at Woodlands, and we just go right outside there, and we'll find a spot, and we'll get right into it. And the following week, we meet in the studio. Should it rain the first week, we'll just flip them around.
That's right. And we'll make sure everybody knows what we're going to do with the weather. Now, how to photograph people. Indoors and outdoors is different. Is there anything else that we need to know about photographing people that kind of transcends if you're indoors or outdoors?
Yeah, there are certain common denominators which we'll get into. You know, about I like using 90 millimeters on my zoom lens because I think it makes people more flattering. You don't want to shoot at a low angle, so you're shooting up somebody's nose.
Right, right.
You know, so there are things that are very common to outdoor, indoor, and we'll go through that.
So you need to have a camera. You need to know how to use it.
Yeah, it helps.
But you'll be getting all these nice tips for photographing people.
And they will get to use the equipment in the studio for the indoor lighting.
Which is very nice. Good. Well, we hope that you'll take time to sign up for this class. We hope you get into it. We can only have a small group of people, but Herb has promised to keep teaching these classes as long as we have a desire to take them. And it's 2 Mondays, January 26th, February 2nd. And according to your instructions, on the 26th, you meet in the Woodlands lobby. And if Herb has to change for weather, you'll be the first to know.
Caregiving can quickly become a daunting task no matter how strong you are and no matter how deeply you care for your loved one. The Finding Joy support group for caregivers promotes coping through shared experiences and uplifting programs. It's one of a dozen support groups that meet regularly at Shell Point. Mary Franklin sat down with Jane Johnston to talk about the group.
I'm Mary Franklin, here today with resident Jane Johnston to talk about a new support group that is forming called Finding Joy. Jane, thanks for being here today.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Well, let's tell the residents a little bit about you. How many years have you been living at Shell Point now?
We've lived here about a year and a half.
Okay. And what did you do before you moved to Shell Point?
Before I was a physical therapist, and I'm retired now. I had my own practice, my husband and I did, and so I've done therapy for a lot of years.
Right. Well, good. Now, you came to me interested in starting the Finding Joy support group, which is interesting. Finding joy is inspiring. Why did you decide that this support group needed to be called Finding Joy, and who should come?
Well, I've been a caregiver for years. By being a physical therapist, I've been a caregiver, and I've been a caregiver in my own family. And I also had a health issue that was pretty severe, and I became the person being cared for, which is not nearly as much fun.
No.
And what I discovered in that is there's great joy to be found, and sometimes we don't see it because we're so overwhelmed with our feelings of grief or sadness, or just being overwhelmed with the tasks that we need to do. But there really is joy. Right. And so that's where I came up with the idea.
Okay, so caregivers are encouraged to go, and those that had attended in the past the Walk With Me support group would really appreciate this group, right?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Okay.
It would be great if they came.
Okay, now you gave me a little sneak peek about what's to come in the future. You're planning on having guest speakers and special programs each time you meet?
Yes, and I'm really excited. I don't have a firm schedule on anybody, but right now the group from Shell Point on the new respite program, they're going to be coming and talking about that. I'm also really excited. I'm working with Lee Memorial, and they are, I already have a music therapist scheduled to talk to us about how music changes our lives. And we also have Tai Chi, Cha, and Bev Chandley's going to be talking to us about how we can change our energy around us just by movement.
Right.
And I have another topic that I'm hoping to talk with someone in the behavioral department about holidays and families.
Very important. Another great aspect to this group is you're asking everyone to come a little bit early. The official start time is 1:45.
Correct.
But you're saying come on a little early. Come to the manatee room at 1:30.
Right, so we can visit and and so I can get to know everybody.
Right. So that's going to be a great opportunity, and we'll have some coffee and pastries there, so it kind of lightens the mood a little bit, and everybody will get to know each other. And this is really going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So anybody who's a full-time caregiver, part-time caregiver, anyone who is giving of themselves, this would be a great session for them.
It would be wonderful, and people maybe who are no longer caregiving but have got wonderful insight to share with the rest of us.
That would be great and inspiring. Well, I'm Mary Franklin along with Jane Johnston. Have a wonderful day.
Now it's time to cover all of today's happenings, academy news, menus, and village church connections.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Van Scoy, and I'm here with Bev Shanley, and this is the Happening segment of Shell Point TV. We're going to let you know what's going on today. We start the morning off with a Health Connections class at 7:15, Bend, Breathe, and Balance in the Health Club. The Men's Golf Association will be meeting at the Shell Point Golf Club at 8 a.m. Also at 8 a.m., there's a time for pickleball at the pickleball courts on the island. And round-robin doubles tennis will be played at the Woodlands tennis courts at 8 a.m. And some of the card game will be played in the Sable Room of the Woodlands at 9 a.m. 9:30 is the time for current events in the game room of the Woodlands. At 9:30, we have ladies match play at the Woodlands tennis courts. At 9:30, if you're a part of the Paddlers Club, come out for a meeting in the Social Center at 9:30. And come out for introduction to beginning line dancing at 9:45, and that's in the Health Club. From 10 to 12 today, the photo studio and gallery will be open for viewing, and that's in the Island Tunnel. At 10:15, we have basic line dancing in the health club. And also at 10:15, the poetry group will be meeting in the Tarpon Room on the island. The Susie Q will be heading out at 11 a.m. to Rum Runners, and sign up is required for that. And that's all we have for the morning, and here's Bev for our afternoon activities.
Thank you, Caitlin. At 12:45, Mahjong will be played in the Library Lounge on the island. Then we'll go to 1:15 for the Aviation Club kickoff and meeting. That's in the Osprey Room. Also at 1:15, we have shuffleboard at the shuffleboard courts. We have a 1:30 Health Connections class today. This one is Aqua Pilates Stretch in the LifeQuest Aquatic Center. From 2 to 4, the photo studio and gallery will be open for viewing down in the tunnel. At 2:45, we have a Health Connections class, Balance and Mobility Training Level 2. That one's down in the Health Club, and it's currently full. Our seamstress will be here for her weekly service in the Osprey Room. That's at 4 o'clock. And at 4:30, we have the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in the Sable Room of the Woodlands. Pinochle will be played in the Library Lounge on the island at 6:30. And then our last activity for the day is 7 o'clock. We have the Trailblazers Bible Study. That's in the Game Room of the Woodlands. We're glad you joined us today. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Thursday. At 9:15, a computer college class, Creating and Personalizing Gmail Accounts, continues in the Computer Teaching Center on the island. At noon, we set off for the See the Incredible World-Famous Herman's Lipizzan Stallions in Training, Academy on the Go educational field trip for those who have signed up. And at 1 o'clock, we have Coffee with a Neighbor, Places and Faces of Israel. Please bring your ticket. At 1 o'clock, Mahjong Basics continues in the Country Kitchen on the second floor of the Arbor at the Woodlands. And tomorrow we have 2 new classes. Session 2 of the 1950s with Gerald Zeidenberg and an Apple iPad walk-in clinic takes place in the Teaching Center on the island at the Tunnel. Penny Modridge of Nautilus and several volunteers all welcome anyone to stop in with their iPad or iPhone and a question.
Menus for Thursday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is General Tso's chicken with steamed rice and Asian vegetables. The dinner special is the Crystal Carving Board for $13.95, and the soup of the day is black bean. In the Island Cafe for lunch, the special is a half Cuban sandwich with a cup of soup for $7.25. The dinner special is Thai night for $8.25. Dinner specials in the Palm Grill are New York strip for $19.95 or veal scallopini for $15.95. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Thank you for joining us today for Village Church Connections. We've been in the midst of a wonderful Global Impact Week. Things have just transpired so well thus far as we've enjoyed our international guests. And I'm here today with Shar Stemple because Shar, one of the highlights of the week is coming up tomorrow night, Friday night.
Exactly.
And that's our special, more or less creative program as we deal with our theme, The Joy of Access. As you think of our theme and you think of the whole idea of access, what comes to mind?
Well, we've been hearing a lot about access, and I think the one word probably that best describes it is entry. But on the other hand, I've thought a lot about places where I've had to have access in my life. And I've also thought about, in our time as missionaries in Vietnam and Malaysia, the kinds of access that are needed for an international worker. And maybe I'll just tell you one of them. The first one really is the access of identifying with the people. And because you have no access really to their thoughts or to their worldview, to a lot of the reasons for their behavior, unless you understand the language. Mm-hmm. And so missionaries with the Christian Missionary Alliance historically have been called to what they call really identifying with the people. And by that, you learn the language. Now, you can never become one of them because, as a Vietnamese pastor told me, you don't have a Vietnamese mother. But otherwise, you're very Vietnamese. So that was a great compliment because you learn their behavior and what they're doing. And not only their language, but who you make your friendships with, what you do in your free time, and the more you identify with the people where you serve, the better access you have to really what they're thinking, really thinking. And so I think that's important.
I think those are great points for us to consider, Shar, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I know so many of our international workers are having to seek creative ways to access their ministries overseas now. Some of our workers this week have been what we call creative access workers because they've had to go into a country and do soccer ministries or do education or English as a second language or something along that line to help open the doors and create access.
And actually, that's what missionaries have always done, all kinds of things. It's not that they've only gone to preach. I mean, I think of the ways, many ways that we identify, but we didn't have to because we could get a visa to be there as religious workers. And so the problem wasn't as severe, but this time, in today's world, that has to be your primary focus. And then as you live out your life becomes your ministry and your witness.
Great point.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that is sobering for me as we think of this whole idea of access is to realize that there are so many parts in our world today still that do not have ready access to the gospel message.
That's right.
And so that's what we're learning about this week, and it's been great.
But you know, the greatest paradigm shift that is happening in our world today is the digital world. Because now, I mean, you can go to the most remote place and they have cell phones. And they're cheap as dirt in these other countries. You can get online and call for just pennies a month in many of these places. I don't know why we can't hear, but that's for another person to explore. But the idea is that for example, there's a lot of persecution still in Vietnam by the communist government. You can't go into Vietnam, for example, as a religious worker. You can go any other reason; they welcome you. But the persecution is still going on in the mountains by the government, the local governments, and before it was all hearsay and you just had to report, but now they can photograph and videotape actual events and document the things that are happening. So it's not happening as much because you can get the information out because of the digital age. So that's opening up a whole new access for people both ways.
It sure is. It sure is. So we want to invite folks to make it a priority to come Friday night at 7:15 for this very special service. It will be.
It will be.
And before I let you go, I also want to just ask you a couple questions. As we've gone through the week, we've encouraged folks to think about their giving, Great Commission fund giving, to be praying about that, opening themselves up to what God would have them do. And as we think about that, would you tell me, first of all, what is the Great Commission Fund? What's that all about?
Well, the Great Commission Fund is the way that international workers have always been funded through the Christian Missionary Alliance denomination. And what happens is that you give to the central fund, which is managed carefully and with very good safeguards, and it pays so much for the missionary, and we don't have to spend time to get individual donors and come back home and make sure they're still able to give and recruit new donors, because that is done in a corporate way through our missionary conferences. And we were so happy because our airfares were paid, our visa costs were paid, our children's schooling was paid, good insurance, worldwide insurance was paid for us, all out of that fund. And a missionary living allowance is also paid. They don't call it a salary because they take care of all these other expenses. Your housing is also paid for on the field. And so it's a wonderful way that each field sends in a budget. It's carefully scrutinized, and then the national office approves or disapproves that budget, and then that budget is used to pay the workers in that area or region.
I think it's a wonderful blessing for our workers to have that gift. And as we approach this last weekend, I just encourage people to think about, pray about their partnership in this way. It's a privilege, in my mind, for us to be able to partner with God in what He's doing around the world and partner with our workers. And so this is a wonderful opportunity.
It's a great opportunity, and there's very high accountability. Believe me, I lived under it, and it's wonderful to know that they're watching out for you and watching out for their donors.
Thank you for being with me today, Sharon, for sharing. Thank you as well, and we encourage you to come 7:15 Friday night for a very special service as we celebrate the joy of access together. Have a wonderful day.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow when we'll preview an academy class about whaling in New England. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Thursday, January 22nd. I'm Adam Brown, and for all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.